and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things Transformers and Transformers action figure related. And today on my channel we're finally coming to the end of the TFC Poseidon, which is their take on the Seacons. Today we're going to go through the combined mode. This is a scramble combiner, so all of the, apart from the center piece, can all turn into arms, legs or weapons for this. So we'll go through each way you can have it, look at the different combinations that you can have, see which ones work the best. I will not be showing the transformations for these, because if I did the transformation on every single one to get it to every single piece, this thing's going to be about 4 hours long and we just ain't going to go there. So that's the way this is going to work. We'll start with this setup that I have here and then we shall work on from there. So to start off then, the transformation was okay into these bits. I have to say that certain parts of the destructions were okay, other parts are a little bit certainly when it comes to things like how you should position the tentacles. I do like the fact that we get some freedom here, but I don't know if there's a way that you should be doing this versus the way that I've done it. I've done the way that looks the coolest. However, I have already combined him in this mode, and I think that this feels very heavy and just sends some things kind of off a little bit. You get these little hand bits that come with it as well. So these hands just connect at the bottom with these connectors. So you'll see you get some nice articulation there, and you'll see that the fingers and the hands have some wonderful articulation and beautiful looking spikes there. The arms have these little connectors that go into the side of the main piece here. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this one, because you slide up for this thing to then be down. I would have personally preferred to have them going in like that, but you have to put it in together like this, and you can see that just slides in. It's quite stiff, it feels okay, but it is plastic on plastic, and I do wonder how it would live up to some wear and tear if you were combining this on the reg. The feet, once we get the feet in, they kind of just if I take this one off now, very stiff the way it's on, but they do just connect on the ball joint down the bottom here. Let's see if we can get focus on this. You can see there that it just focuses in, so the foot just goes in, hole. Now this is good, and it's quite stiff, and I have to say that I do like the foot. If I showed the articulation here, we can really know that it's going to be very stable. The feet will splay out like that. You can also splay the back out as well if you need some added stability pieces, and you can kind of extend pieces as well on the foot, just in case you want to do anything with this. You could even extend it so that the foot comes out kind of like this, which will obviously give it a very wide base to stand on. So that's quite good. I do like that you can have the feet kind of looking however you want. These do just tap back into the sides, but something I do have a little bit of a challenge with, this is on a ball joint, which is great, but this bit goes in here, this bit goes in here, and then you just connect the two like so. But what I found was, and you'll probably see it now, is that they're very stiff, which for starters is a good, but this keeps slipping down, so it's going to keep your thumb in it. And then the other challenge that I had, and you can see the issues that we have here, is that because you have to put quite a lot of pressure on this, you've just transformed this lovely, and you can see that I'm applying pressure and it's already starting to kind of come apart in my hands as I'm doing it. There's the back piece, and there it is. But you can see the kind of damage that I've managed to do there, because you do have to force this back together. So I think I would personally, before you finish the transformation up here, I would apply the foot before you've transformed everything, because otherwise you have to go back 3 or 4 steps, as you can see, to be able to transform that foot again. And then again with the foot, you get this little connector that's just in there, so you'll need to pull this forwards, maneuver this. Now if I just untap this, I can probably just get this a little bit easier to just snap that back in. And then these leg pieces here, just there we go. So that just ratchets down, very strong ratchets on the knees, and then it's just a matter of sliding it in and then closing everything up, and again trying to lock it all down and back into position. You'll just need to make sure that you transform everything. So there he is, there's his leg on. I'm going to connect everything else up so you can see how everything just tabs together. There's little connectors in the arms and little connectors in the legs. I'm going to tab everything together and then we'll see the full beast. So here we have our first look at Poseidon in all his glory, and you can see already he is starting to turn a little bit, and this is what I mean about this arm being a little bit too heavy for certainly the way that I've got it. I don't know if I need to balance things out, but the way that I have that, there's a lot of weight on this side, and you can see that he really wants to turn his body all the time with that one. It's only gently, but it's still there and does knock the balance a little bit, but overall, I do really like the look of this dude. He is very, very, very nice. This is not the final variation that I'm going to go with, 100%. I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with just yet, but this is not the final variation I'm going to go with. Stability, again, I'm not 100% sold on the stability of this, even in the hips. I think you've got to find the right combination, the right people to go in the right places. This is continuing to turn very, very slowly, but you can definitely start to see the impact that having all that weight there really does have on this. But let's have a look at his head sculpt, which we've not managed to see so far. Absolutely gorgeous head sculpt on this dude. Light piping for days, doing some excellent work there on the light piping. Love the head sculpt. It's not exactly G1 accurate, but then again, this is their own take on it, and I think it's gorgeous. The colorization as we go through it is an absolute beaut. This one does kind of stand out a little bit. I do like my stuff to match a little bit, so I think whatever I do, I'll try and match up the colors along the way with however I have it, but that's just me. That's just how I like it. And the accessories on the arms and the hands look fantastic as well. As we move down as well, certainly on the arms, you can start to see those faces and stuff on the arms. I really do like the way that looks, and it's similar when it goes into the kind of leg mode as well. He can hold his arm fairly straight. His hands look great with that massive, massive spike as well. And as we have a look at the legs and the feet, just look incredible. This is a great, great looking bot. Does he feel a little loose? Definitely. Definitely around the hips, and we'll talk about the articulation on this guy now. So, head, you'll get a full 360 with a huge amount of light piping. And I guess you could even have the head around this way. Looks a bit bizarre, but you could have it. Then the head will go all the way up and you'll over articulate due to the transformation, and you'll get a full 360 there. Absolutely fantastic. You get some articulation on the guns as well, so you can have them kind of posed around all the way up, all the way down, however you wish to have them. I'll just put them out of the way at the moment. In this mode, the articulation on the arm, you will get a full 360. Very cool. And then this section here will also articulate out, and he can hold that position as well. It just gets a little bit messy now when you try and go any higher than that. He does have some articulation here on the shoulders as well, so you can wrench that up a little bit as well. And the articulation is great. You can hear those ratchets really doing some great work. At the arms, you'll get a full 360 here at the swivel, and you'll get quite a nice amount of arm bend, but it is a little bit challenging trying to keep everything together, certainly the way that this one is, and get like articulation out of it and keep the transformation in one piece. Definitely a right angle on that, and you can actually hold the pose as well, which is great. Hands, you get a full 360 when they don't just come off this little joint that they're on there. All of the fingers articulate. You get 3 points of articulation, 2 points of articulation, sorry, there, and then the thumb will also articulate as you want. So you can really get some very nice kind of poses out of him from this arm. But like I say, this arm has a lot of weight to it. If I move this one down there, and then maybe I can show you a little bit on this one as well, because this one is lighter. You can see that this one has a greater amount of articulation to be able to hold a pose. It also, this one doesn't de-transform itself. There's not as much going on around here. So you get the articulation on this piece feels better, and he doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart and stuff is just getting in the way. So this looks great on this side, but this one has more functionality and definitely has more posability. Moving down to the legs and the hips, this is where, if I just move the arms a little bit out of the way, this is where his legs and his hips do fall down a little bit, I have to say. You will get a full 360 around at his waist, which is great. You don't get any ab crunch, unfortunately. You don't tend to get them too often on a combiner, so that's not missing too much, but you do seem to have quite a looseness here. And again, this could be my boot, because my boot is fairly slippy, but there is just, it feels a little loose, I've got to say. Just around the hip area, he will hold his foot off the floor, so you can see, but it will come back down a little bit. If I move this out the way, that's a strong ratchet, and he won't quite, so he's not gonna, you're not gonna get any kind of ninja kicks out of him, unfortunately. But you will get that articulation, but it just all kind of moves back again. So it sounds strong, but it's not as strong as as I would certainly like it to be. You'll get some nice knee bend, and it will hold a knee bend, so that's certainly stronger, so that's great. And then at the foot, you'll get some ball joints and some swivel and all that articulation in the toes as well. But it all, yeah, it feels just a little bit looser, shall we say, and you can see the kind of struggles I'm having to get him back into a position here after I've shown the articulation off. You can start to see that he can hold some quite dynamic poses, but they could be even more dynamic. So we can see here he can hold a fairly dynamic pose if you wish him to, but like I say, just getting him here, it just feels a little challenging. Maybe it's the setup I've got. I'm really looking forward to putting something else on him to see how that looks, but right now I just really wish that this piece was stronger. This I can understand because it's very heavy. This one's good. The legs hold quite well and the knee joints are great. It's just the kind of crotch area and hips that are a little loose for my liking. Okay, so every single one of these little sea monsters that you have comes with little close combat weapons, basically, that you can then combine to make one mega powerful Poseidon Trident. And to do this, the first thing you're going to have to do, because there's no destructions for this, so this will be your destructions, and this will be the only transformation I'm doing. First up, you need to take this section here, which is like a... it looks like a toilet cleaner. Stick a brush on the end. It's a bit of a toilet cleaner, this one. And then you'll need to have these sections here. Now, what you'll see on these sections is that this section has 1, 2, 3, 4 dots. The other side does not have 4 dots. So what you need to do is stick this one in. You get this one. And you stick this one in here. Be very careful. Things with TFC is that if it looks sharp, it is sharp. They definitely don't blunt the sharpness. So when you're doing this, please don't impale yourself on Poseidon's Trident, because that would not be a good start. So you see this section here? Now you've got the kind of head bit section here, and then this will just go into this section here. So you've got a groove and a groove, so you've got to get into the groove, and then you've got, so you can have it just as a little mace, which is actually quite nice looking on its own. Just set this off to the side, and then we come to the next section. So the next section, you need to get this piece and this piece. And then you'll notice that when you put them together, they almost make the shape of a swords on the inside of the swords. So you need to get these thinner swords, and those thinner swords just fit into the grooves that are in the inside section here. Just like that. And then get the one for the other side and fit those grooves in here. Flip it over and get the other sword and put the sword in like that. So you've got a mega sword. No, this isn't Power Rangers. And then you just stick this section in like that. And then you've got a spiky bit at the top of your mace. Next section, you have a groove here and a groove here. Those two grooves fit onto these two grooves. Like that one. And like that one. And then next up is this section, and we just do the same thing here with these ones as we did with the other swords down the bottom. Line up the grooves like that, and then get this one onto those grooves as well. Go on, you can do it. Yeah. No, don't want to go in. There we go. So that's all connected. And finally, bring the final sword in for this final piece of Poseidon's Trident. And then the whole section here goes on the top. And there we have the Mega Sword, Poseidon's Trident. And this thing is absolutely huge. Gorgeous. I love it. I absolutely love it. I have challenges with it, which we will definitely talk about when we put it on the combiner. But this highly detailed. I love the kind of purple, pink color. It is sharp on the edges, as all of these things are. I love the fact that you can really take it to pieces again and put it to how you want for your combiner. And then it also has this lovely looking handle as well. The thing is, I could probably handle it in my own hand and use this as a weapon, but absolutely gorgeous. Very, very nice. Okay, so now we have the fully transformed combiner, and we have his Trident, and we can see how big the Trident is versus the combiner. Yes, the Trident is larger than the combiner, so this obviously starts us off at a little bit of a disadvantage and gives us a little bit of a problem straight away, because it's huge and he's huge. So when we put this in the hand, and I'll be fair, I'll put this in the hand with the least amount of weight. So we stick this bad boy in, massive tabs. I will give it props on the big tabs. Very big tabs to go in this very big combiner's hand. That's good. Tab this in. Ooh. Yeah, close the hand up. And then he wants to fall over. So this is where the hips really do fail him. So he can't really... He might be able to hold it in two hands. But you can see, and again, this could be part of my setup here. That's a little bit slippy, but you can see you're not going to get much kind of posability out of him with the big sword. The way that I would maybe have him is like this, but it's too long maybe for him to... Come on, get your arm up. Yeah, and then it just falls to pieces. So we can get this back in. Go on, you can do it. Yay! So we can put that back in. Just let me G him up a little. So we can do that. Pretty much. He could hold it upside down and pose with it. But you ain't going to get much play value out of the big version of the sword because the hips... Oh, maybe now. Maybe if I just... The arm can hold it.
This is bad comedy.
So, another accessory that this figure has is every single figure apart from the main chest one, apart from Turtler or whichever one you want to call him. So, everything can be turned into a weapon. And this is what the weapon looks like for this dude. And it looks nice. It looks a very detailed, cool, sea-themed weapon. But again, it's pretty heavy. So what do you think is going to happen when I try and put this in the dude's hand? So again, big tab here on this one. And when we just insert it into the hand, tab on the side, and then close it down, and he just can't hold it. Either his arm goes, his hand goes, or his hips go. So for me, looks pretty, but they're just a waste. I'm not even going to waste my time trying to show you how well you compose that, because you can't. Alright, so here we go with the second kind of lineup, I guess, that we've got. So what we've done is obviously these two that are now on the legs. They were the two arms, so now they're the legs. At the top, this dude was the gun before, he's now an arm, and I think he works very well as an arm, and this one also is an arm, and again works well as an arm. I definitely think that these two work better as arms, and the two below work better as legs. So he feels a little bit more stable. Certainly on the arm, you know he's not doing that twisting thing that he was, because there's obviously not as much weight on this side. He can still get a good range of motion. He can still obviously hold poses because the ratchets are not included on these. The ratchets are included here. But what I'm most interested in is whether or not you can actually still hold the weapons now without the added weight on here. Whether or not that actually makes the holding of the weapons a lot better. If we look at the detail on this, this is my favorite. This is my favorite dude. I absolutely love Tentakill, 1,000 kills, or whatever you want to call him. Look at the way that that looks as a leg. Absolutely gorgeous. Unfortunately, and he won't be part of my combiner. I'm going to keep him off separately because I actually love him just as a normal figure so much. But on the combiner, I do think he is just the most impactful piece on the whole combiner. He's absolutely gorgeous. I love the way that the face kind of becomes part of the wrist. It's just absolutely gorgeous. You can see that there. Really, really cool. Like I say, he does feel a lot more stable. He can definitely hold positions a little bit better. The arm has less weight. like I said, and the feet and the legs, everything just feels a little bit more stable. So now for the one that I've turned into the gun, and I've turned Cyberjaw into the gun for this one, and it looks nice. It's a nice enough looking gun, but I'm gonna say there's a lot of weight to this, only been added to by the fact that I've added this really cool gun attachment with the teeth on it here as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if this will fit into the hand, and if he can actually hold this. I don't think he'll be able to, if I'm honest. Move the thumb out. Alright, so there we go. And can he hold the gun? No. He can't. He holds it a little bit better, but no, not really. No, he's not gonna have it. It's still way too heavy. These guns look great. I mean, we can see here, you know, this gun looks super cool. Can I get it in a position where I can even get double-handed on it? Kind of. You know, you could kind of get him to almost double-hand it if you could get that position locked in. But these guns are just way heavy.
This is bad comedy.
Okay, so we've now moved a few more things around. So this one before, this was the arm, and that's now become the leg. This was the weapon, and that's now become an arm on this side. One of the ones that was the legs, we've now turned that into the new gun for this, which 100% is the heaviest gun so far. Looks okay. But there's no way that the arm, I believe, is going to be able to hold this. We'll try. We will try, though. I do think, though, that this is the best looking version of this so far. I'm a sucker for making sure that there's symmetry in things. So the fact that there's colour alignment at the top and there's colour alignment now in the bottom as well, that really does it for me. So I actually think this is the best looking take on this so far. Is it the most stable though? So let's find out how stable all of this is now. This probably is, yeah, pretty stable. There's not too many issues from a weight disbursement point of view. I think that both of these arms kind of are okay from a weight point of view because the other ones are quite heavy. This one, what, can it hold its own weight? Yeah, it can. We can get some really good kind of articulation going here with it. The legs, again, the problem that we have with this figure does not reside in most of these other things. It is this. This is the main problem. So now let's see if this big ass weapon can actually be held by the arm. And I don't believe this is going to be able to be held either. So this one was really tight. There's not much clearance on this one between the arm. Get this in focus. Between the hand and the arm. I've actually had to remove the arm. There's like a real small clearance between these two, so I did have to kind of take the arm off just to make sure that I could get it on properly. So now I'll just reattach this arm so that we can have a look and see if he can actually hold this in any way at all. Okay, so with the arm now firmly reattached, and we can already see, yeah, this is way too heavy a gun. No. It's just, the guns are just useless on this. So all of the gun modes so far are not great, and the Manta has been the worst one so far. All way too heavy. Just really pointless, if I'm honest, to be able to do it. The dude does come with another gun, though, which we can look at now. So we do have this nice big gun here as well. This is pretty cool. And we can see now, does this hold on to this one? And yeah, this one's better. But again, yeah. Maybe the ratchet will hold it. Oh, just about. So this is the final version that I'm going to go with. So I've actually found this to be the most stable setup that I can get. He does hold himself together fairly well. The joints move okay, and he doesn't seem to want to fall over that much. These legs are very, very stable as well, even on my smooth surface. So this is the one I'm going to display him in. There's another good reason that I want to display him like this, and I'll come to that in a second, but there is one extra thing that we can do with this, is we can also bring back out the gun. Now, the gun that we had for this, we can just take off this section here, and we can then take off this section here. We can separate the gun. We can give him it just as a normal gun then, which is better weight-wise. This definitely holds together a lot better. You can also bring out this section here and this section here if you want to do something like that. You can give it a good kind of gun look. Again, this tab will just tab into the hand, just like so. Always a little difficult to get this tab in. There we go. So you can see that he will hold it, but even with this, it wants to really pull him forward. You have to push him back. Can he hold the gun up? Yeah, you see, it's just, even with a gun that's this small, it's a little bit of a challenge just to get him to hold it. I won't be using, I'm going to display him with like no weapons, basically. That's kind of the way that I'm going to do it. And this is just a little bit floppy as well. So if we just take this off, because there is something interesting that we can do as well. And that's these bits from the guns. So these bits actually turn into like little kneecaps for him. So what you do is you bring this bit back and fold this section up at the back here. So you've got something that looks a little bit like that, and then you've got two tabs here and here. So if I bring it forward, you can see that this section here is just going to tab in like that, and then you can have that bit there and then do the same on the other side. So we bring it, re-rotate this around just like that, and then tab it into the side here, and then you'll kind of get some kneecap action going for this. Now I don't know if I like these kneecaps. I don't know if they add much stability. Maybe a little touch. They just, from the side, they stick out a little bit, but they do hide the tops of like the tails and things like this. And seeing as both of these ones have the big tails that are going there, I think I am going to leave them on. Let me know your thoughts on this one down in the comments. Do you prefer it with or without these kneecap pieces? So the other reason that I'm going to display him in this form is because I don't plan on using one of them as a gun, I can leave my favorite character in the best alt mode out of the lot, which is 1000 kills or 10 to kill, whatever you want to call it. I can have this dude displayed next to him in his awesome alt mode. So we can kind of have him as a little pet, stick his hand on him like that, and that's how I plan on displaying them. I love this figure. This, for me, this is still the best of the bunch. It's the first one I picked up. It's usually the most difficult one to pick up online. Still the best of the bunch for me. Very, very cool. So now it's time for the comparison. And first of all, we're going to bring up a very, very popular KO combiner, which is the NBK Devastator. So we can see here how they size up. And he's a little bit smaller than the NBK Devastator. We can see MBK Devastator is a little bit bigger than he is. I've done a lot of work on this one. You can check some of my other videos using this key fix it to try and make sure that this dude is a lot securer, and you can see that he really doesn't suffer from any issues now when it comes to the kind of looseness that he had before. So hopefully I can do something with the joints on this one to maybe fix it. So that's how they compare together. So now we can move on to another pretty popular combiner, and this is the KO take on Predaking. This dude is huge and he's out of shot already. So you can see that he is really tall. Comparison, obviously, this dude is much cheaper than this dude. He's much taller, he's much securer as well. If you're looking for a really good looking Predaking, this is still probably the best one out on the market, especially for the price that one's at. And then finally, next to an Earthrise Scorponok, you can see he's only about half the size really of an Earthrise Scorponok. So for me, he's actually not as big as I thought he was going to. Out of all my combiners, he is probably the smallest and the most expensive. So now it's time for my final thoughts on this dude, and it's a real difficult one. If he was a lot cheaper, I would recommend it. But yeah, he's pretty expensive when you put everything together. Depending on where you pick him up from, you know, he can come in certainly over your $600 mark, depending on where you get him from. He's very, very, very pricey. I think individually, it has some extraordinarily good bots in the mix. The combined mode for me really does let it down though. I did not expect it to be as wobbly and as hard to position as it actually is for the price. The hips on this thing are an abomination and a complete letdown because he really doesn't want to he really doesn't want to hold a pose in any way really, and depending on what limb you have where, that weight distribution just doesn't work in every format. You know, my favorite dude Tentakill, you know, the only option you really have it for him is a leg. As an arm, he's way too heavy and wants to kind of move everything around, and that's because the hair is so loose. If this was on a ratchet instead of just being loose, then you probably wouldn't have that problem. And certainly from a figure that's this expensive, I probably expected a few more stronger ratchets. It's a real shame because he looks fantastic, and I love this kind of look on my bots. You know, these bots that kind of have the aesthetic of a G1 but completely updated and look like something a little bit new. Overall, yeah, I think I am a little bit disappointed. It's been a long journey to pick all of these bots up, and would I pick up a TFC combiner again? Probably not. That's probably where I am with this. They'd have to do something pretty extraordinary for me to pick something else up. Let me know your thoughts on this one down in the comments. How do you display yours? Is there a better way to display it than I've found? Have you been able to fix any of the loose joints? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video. Alright guys, in a bit. Peace!